Step Ahead, the Central Asia podcast, with insights from the heart of Eurasia. Step Ahead. Welcome, everyone, to the new episode of the Step Ahead podcast. And today we are very, very happy to announce a guest. Her name is Nazerke Kalidolda, and she's one of the most interesting faces from Kazakhstan in the global venture capital world. And I stumbled upon her by accident in LinkedIn, and I was really amazed to read about her. She's in the Forbes 30 under 30 list. She's a woman from Kazakhstan who worked for Google Paris, then left Google Paris to build her own company. She built up her own company successfully, sold it, and now she's in venture capital investments. And Nazerke, we're very happy to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You actually covered all my introduction already.
Yeah, maybe you could tell something about your personal story, because I think it's very interesting for everyone how it developed. Yeah, how was your path?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Nazerke. I'm originally from Kazakhstan, now working at Sturgeon Capital, London-based VC investing in emerging markets, specifically across Caucasus, Central Asia, and South Asia, mostly Bangladesh, Pakistan, and all the neighboring countries, excluding India. I actually started my career as an engineer. I'm coding since I was a teenager. I think at 14, I started coding and in olympiads in coding. Got medals in national, international olympiads. Also did some ICPC. It's a championship in programming for students. And so I got into world semifinals. Also did some research in robotics during my bachelor and published 4 papers, including ICRA. ICRA is like a top conference in robotics. Then I was thinking, should I go to academia or start working? Got my job offer from Google, decided to join Chrome team. And yeah, after working for 2-3 years, I decided to quit my job to do my own startup. My first one, I successfully failed, but I got into Forbes under 30 with that one. And the second one was acquired by a bigger edtech company. I also worked as a CTO in startups like Squares. It's like an Airbnb for unique venues in Kazakhstan, which was also featured in Forbes magazine cover. And also worked as a product manager at fintech startups in France. OpenSea, it's a risk management tool for big financial institutions like HSBC, Société Générale. Then I met guys from Sturgeon Capital, and we decided to work together. I joined a bit more than 2 years ago. So I think I'm quite new in VC, but since I worked in tech and I was a founder myself, I'm bringing different angle to all our investment opportunities at Sturgeon.
Nazerke, thank you. That's really amazing story. I'm really interested in one thing. So you worked for Google Paris. So you worked for Google, and I think for many young people, it's a big dream to work for Google. So how did it happen that you decided to leave Google? It was your own voluntary decision. So what was that you believed so much in this idea? Or maybe you can tell me more about this.
Yeah, I think if I was based in Bay Area and saying like I worked at Google and quit it to do my own startup, that would be like okay story. But since I'm from Central Asia and I was born and raised in post-Soviet environment when we really tried to get into this stability, which is very important feeling for every post-Soviet kid. It was a big decision and for me. But yeah, as you said, working at Google is a big dream of. It was a big dream of most of my peers who all studied computer science, also who did competitive programming, all my social circle. But then I just realized I'm living someone else's dream, and I didn't want to stay at Google just because it was dream job of other people. And what I really enjoyed is working maybe in a smaller companies, but bringing bigger impact, which I could sense. I was working at Chrome team, so it was a big product which a lot of people, millions, billions people were touching, but I didn't have the sense of doing some impact. And I think maybe it's because of I think everyone is replaceable, but it depends on how easy is replaced you. And at Google, it felt like it's, yeah, I'm like a software engineer. There are a lot of them, and I can be easily replaceable. Whereas when in startups, I was working as a CTO or product manager or co-founder. So um, it felt like all my decisions are really changing the product, and I could see how our customers were really grateful or happy to use our product.
Wow, that's also really interesting. Could you tell us more about your startups? You said the first one failed. I think this is like a typical, like every startup founder must fail at least once, and then the second was successful. So, what kind of startups were they? So, what exactly is the story behind that?
So yeah, my first startup was a recommendation system engine for marketplaces. And before selling it to marketplaces, we actually started building our own marketplace. And we had good growth of user base. We were updating our apps every 2 weeks, getting good feedback. People were happy to use it, even when some buttons were broken, some things were not working, and we were feeling like, okay, that really something which people need. It was COVID time, so I was sure that Central Asian market is ready for online shopping, and I was sure that I was the right person to do this because that was my big pain. But I realized that why it failed. I realized that I'm the wrong founder to work on this startup, because in startup it's not only product market fit which is important, but also founder problem fit. So not any founder should solve any problem, and that was a big outcome which I realized at the end of the day. Yeah, I was like in a software engineering circle with a lot of talented people, but I was nobody knew me when it comes to retail e-commerce, and it was really hard start. But yeah, at the end of the day, I realized it's something. And also, marketplace is not something you should start maybe. When I know that a lot of people who quit companies like Google, TikTok, they're like, okay, I'm quitting my job and I have to do something complex. I don't want to do like, I don't know, like some I can't think of some funny ideas, but you really want to work on something complex. And I think that's also was one of the big mistakes. Also, choosing the right co-founder, how hard it is to do it something as a solo founder. I was a solo founder in the first one, and the second one, I had really great co-founders. What I also learned is that um, it's better to have no co-founders than bad co-founders, but it's really good to have co-founders than not having co-founders. But yeah, I mean, I read all the articles of PG. I knew all the things theoretically, but when it comes to practice, I just made all the things which you don't have to do when you're a founder. So yeah, and the second one was actually oppositely a good fit for me as a problem and the founder. So I was a software engineer, right? And I was coding since I was 14. So all people whom I knew for a very long time, they end up working at big companies. And I also had my social media where I was talking about how to get to Google, what exactly you need to learn. I was doing a lot of workshops. When we decided to launch a career accelerator for software engineers to land at companies like Google, it really worked well because I had a supply and demand. I had all the mentors who were my friends. And I had a lot of people who wanted to know how to get there because I was quite active on social media. So yeah, that one was very successful. We were, I say very because we were profitable from the first year. And if we compare it to other similar companies, they got into profitability after 4 years. And that's why I thought it's a good startup for me, at least to launch.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you very much for sharing your learnings. I think this is very interesting, especially for young founders. Could you also explain us more about your current role? So you're in VC now at a company called Sturgeon Capital, right?
Mm.
And what exactly are you doing right now in your current role?
So at current role, I'm responsible for the full investment cycle, from sourcing to writing IC memos, doing due diligence, and then post investment portfolio support. Yeah, and I can tell more about Sturgeon maybe, so people who are listening to us would have.
Yes, please. Yes, go ahead.
We are. Geography-wise, we invest from from Caucasus, Central Asia, and South Asia. Sector-wise, we're sector agnostic, but we focus more on marketplaces, B2B, and fintech. Ticket-wise, we are investing from 500K to 2 million, which is true for both initial investments and follow-ons. Our LPs are big institutions like IFC, the World Bank Group, and SBI Holdings from Japan. What else I should mention? I'm thinking. Geography sector. Yeah, and the current fund size is 30 million. Overall, all the funds are 300 million under our management. So that's the overview.
Great. Very, very interesting story. And Nazerke, I'm living in Astana right now, and my office is actually very near to Astana Hub. And there's also the Astana IT University, and Nazarbayev University is also not very far away. I think you've studied at Nazarbayev University, right?
Right, yeah, that's my
So I see a lot of young, very ambitious people right now. Actually, at our office, we have an intern who's also very interested in tech, and this guy is amazing. So like I see some real energy here. And also I was in Tashkent for a while, and I also saw many people, especially in tech, who are really amazing. And if I'm not mistaken, some time ago there appeared the first unicorn of Kazakhstan, Higgsfield AI, which is very interesting. So the news were all around the world about this first unicorn. Could you tell us more about the startup ecosystem in Central Asia? So what is going on, and maybe also which challenges are there? Like which problems are young founders or techies facing right now in Central Asia and Kazakhstan?
Are we talking about startup-wise, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
So, talking about the Higgsfield, I think it's a great model when you have most of your team based in Kazakhstan, but you're generating revenue from other markets like US. We lately started focusing more on this kind of startups. Previously, Sturgeon was mostly investing in startups in Kazakhstan, which means founders from Kazakhstan were working on the startups which are working on Kazakhstani market or Central Asian. Whereas now we're more focusing on startups where one of the founders, or all the co-founders are based in their target market, let's say US, and the whole development team is in Kazakhstan, which makes them capital efficient, because per each dollar invested, they can do much more than any startups fully based in SF or anywhere in the world. Doesn't mean they're paying less to their developers. It's just for the same salary, they can attract better talent and not only attract, but the hardest part in startups maybe just to have them for a longer time, because all the good startups are trying to hunt talent from each other. And when you have revenue generated, also investors investing from other markets, you're becoming definitely more capital efficient and can have better talent.
To join the conversation right now, it's very interesting to listen already about the details about the VC market, especially in Kazakhstan. For me, I want to know the motivation why you went back to Kazakhstan. You were growing up in Kazakhstan, then you lived for some period in Paris, and then you came back. Maybe you can tell us what was the motivation? Why did you come back to your roots in some context? And also, what changed in the time when you were not in the country yourself? Was it a shock for you to come back, or was there some improvement that really made you happy? And what is the difference between Paris at the moment or the European VC scene and what is happening right now in Kazakhstan? What made you choose to come back?
Yeah, I think it's just overall most of Kazakh or Central Asian people are living, at least people of my age, they were living to gain more experience from bigger corporations, top companies in their fields. It can be like, yeah, Google for me because I'm in tech. But most of people whom I know, they were planning to gain some experience and then come back at some point. Some of them already did, some of them not yet. They still feel like they need to grow more and then come back. But I think it's very Central Asian to plan that you some time in your life will come back. So I just maybe did it earlier than other people. Um, and yeah, I think mostly because the ecosystem in Kazakhstan was changing rapidly. And if we compare even startup ecosystem when I was a founder, which was not long time ago, it was like 5 years ago, and it's super different from what's happening now. In terms of support you have, in terms of overall the quality of the startups, because when I was working, and maybe even if we compare it to people who launched their startups even 10 years ago, it's very different. I think most of the things are happening because we have this big ecosystem builders like Astana Hub in Kazakhstan, which was mentioned, and or like IT Park in Uzbekistan. We have also High Tech Park in Kyrgyzstan and so on in all the countries, and that makes big impact. Even Astana Hub, they have a lot of programs. Also supported by Google for startups or other bigger corporations where they get not only expertise but also funding. Astana Hub also launched their Astana Hub Ventures, the VC arm, which is investing in the startups, and they have good visibility on all the startups because they're trying to have all of them registered on Astana Hub so that they will get a better I don't know, tax perks, which was also not there, like, let's say 10 years ago. So I think the way how the startups are supported now and before is very different. So if you want to launch a startup, it shouldn't be somewhere else. It can be here. And in Uzbekistan, they're also trying to work on the law, on the governmental level with
Yeah,
that.
there's like new programs supporting the IT scene in Uzbekistan, right? So they became very open to that.
Yeah, true. They're very open, but if you're, for example, today, if you want to invest, signing safe, it's not possible yet. So there are a lot of things to work on, but the openness and also the amount of funding those countries have for supporting startups and making the changes is getting bigger. Uzbekistan, if I'm not mistaken, now all the banks are required. They have to have the VC arm, and that means they have more VC funding for all the startups. The same is happening in Kazakhstan. And another thing which is, I think, making very good positive impact on the whole region is that we're now working as a region. Because as a startup from Kazakhstan, you go to US trying to expand. It's really hard. Nobody's interested in investing in Kazakhstani startups. If you're like going as Uzbekistani startup, it's the same. But if you're going as a Central Asian startup from Central Asia, it's like a bigger market on the map. People already know it's more like, I don't know, significant in terms of everything. And now we're becoming more interesting as a region. So and also we can see how Astana Hub and IT Park now started collaborating, and the same is happening with the startups. And the startups which were working in Kazakhstan, they are now expanding in Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and all the neighboring countries more easily. They understand what's happening. They're getting the support from all those regional players. So yeah, I think that's overall big change from what was happening before.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me just join the conversation here more actively. So I would like to understand, do you have like a ranking for us? I understand about the regionalization when it comes to external markets, but if you say like in the whole region, Central Asia, where are like the top spots? You talked about Astana, you talked about Tashkent. Like, do you have like a ranking for us?
I'd say maybe quality comes with the quantity, and just because there are much more startups from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan comparatively from like Kyrgyzstan or Turkmenistan. I don't even know their startups, to be honest, like or Tajikistan. It's just it doesn't mean that they don't have good startups. They really have. They have like those startups which are known all over Central Asia, but there are not as many as in maybe in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Yeah, if that was a question. But
Yeah, and sure. And which places do you think are the most vital ones? So Astana, what about Almaty? What about other places?
so do you mean comparing the cities?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say. Maybe from my perception, I don't have any data regarding that. But from my perception, Almaty may be more lively in terms of startup ecosystem than Astana, though Astana Hub is based in Astana. So there are a lot of early stage startups which are using Astana Hub as an office space. So you can't see big difference, but for bigger startups, maybe you have more of them in Almaty. Regarding Tashkent, they're becoming very active. I was in Tashkent 2 weeks ago, and I've first time seen Founders Hub, which was launched in February, and the first batch, it's like an accelerator. It was in March 15th. They were going to open their hub in SF soon this summer. One of the founders of that hub was working in NASA, like in different cool places. really cool guy, and they're supporting their startups with a hub and also funding and experience. The same was Startup Garage, which was, I think, the only hub which was opened not like with a governmental or quasi-governmental people, but like with operators. There were operators of Bills and co-founder of Mahirdev, two well-known startups on Uzbekistani startup ecosystem. They opened the Startup Garage, and also it's more like a venture studio. And they also work closely with Income Ventures, which was launched also recently, 5 million fund, which is, I think they invest up to 250 K supporting those startups from venture studio, but not only. Also, the same day I visited Uz Combinator. Is like a Y Combinator and for Uzbekistan. So they also, I don't remember how much they offer, but they also offer some money to support people who want to buy startups and quit their jobs. They have got also nice office space, free food, and also working with Yoshlar Ventures, which is investing in startups with those back founders from 18 to 30 years old. 10 million fund. I think they're going to increase to 30 million fund, which are investing up to 400K per check. And this all I found just in one day. I had one free day in Tashkent because we had different events. Yeah, I
So
think
then I have a question about that. So do you think that young, ambitious, talented people like you and people like in your surroundings, maybe people who are studying right now at university, they're more eager to stay in Central Asia and for example, work in Tashkent or Astana or Almaty, or are they still wishing to, for example, go to the United States or Europe or China or somewhere else?
I think after startups like Hicksfield, most of people, they see that it's actually doable. You can build a unicorn startup out of Kazakhstan. Yeah, Hicksfield made it's a really good use case. The co-founder is actually my classmate from high school.
It just one question then about that, like jumping back to your decision that you came to Paris. What about your classmates? Was it, or also in university, was it interesting for them to come to Europe, especially since we are from Germany? Like maybe even Germany as a spot here in Berlin, where I'm currently at. There are also a lot of startups, or was it like one besides many options? Or could you maybe share some insights about that?
I think I also forgot to complete my answer. Thomas asked me about European VC ecosystem also. Yeah, I think moving to Europe is not something what people from Kazakhstan do. They usually try to move to US. If it's Europe, it's more like not exactly Europe for European people, I know, but we call it still Europe. They moved to London as the place to go. I don't know many people who went to Paris. I just wanted to do it because not a lot of people do this, and I was just curious how it goes. And also for Google, it was harder to get in Parisian office because it was mostly for startups working on like machine learning. So yeah, it's just something like my curiosity brought me. And but for Central Asians, yeah, it's not a popular thing to move to Europe at all. Maybe all people move to Europe first because it's harder to get a work visa in US, but then it's easier to move in the same, if you're in the same company, you have like this L1 visa, which you can use as a transfer within the company, etc. So I think most of people try to move to US. But again, I don't have any data supporting that. Again, just my perception.
I have a question regarding the VC landscape in Central Asia. You mentioned before your fund has around 30 million. There are some other funds, 10 million here, 5 million, 20 million. who's the biggest player right now in the VC market in Central Asia? And also, if someone is listening from the really huge VC funds in the US, for example, and you would make the case why VC funds should invest in Central Asia, what would be your arguments? What is the competitive edge right now in Central Asia? Why is it so interesting to invest there?
I think companies like Hixold is just a start. And if you look at Central Asian countries, we're all good in math, as maybe most of post-Soviet country. And what makes our talent in tech, in AI, much stronger, I think, because I've talked to a lot of tech people in the US, in Europe, in Central Asia. I don't think Central Asian people are anyhow weaker. Definitely not weaker, maybe even stronger in some cases. It's just underrepresented. And if you're LP and you're going to invest in VC funds, I think it's a good one. It's a good region to invest in, because when it will be obvious to everyone, it will be already late. So if you're going to invest when something is obvious, it's going to be very late. So I think it's a perfect moment when we're not very far from it. We already have some cases like Excel, but again, we're not. It's not very obvious. So perfect timing. Also, we have like startups like Naze, which raised 6 million, Valinor 13 million, and other startups on pre-seed, seed, which were fundraising only from US based VCs. So with the teams mostly from Kazakhstan, for example, Naze AI, I think 90% at least for sure is Kazakh people, maybe based already in SF, but still. So talent-wise, I think it's a good place to invest in. If you're a VC or LP, please, you can contact me.
Yes, actually, we have some listeners, even from the US, who are in tech. I've talked to them last week. So yes, if anyone is listening who is interested in investing in Kazakhstan, please reach out to us, and we will be happy to connect you with the right people here. And one thing which is really funny, which is said about maths. So some days ago, I saw a ranking about the International Maths Olympiad for pupils in school. And I saw that Germany actually was outpaced by Kazakhstan. So the nation of the mathematicians like Albert Einstein and all those big names, and Kazakhstan now is stronger than Germany. So this is really amazing. So congratulations.
Even when I talked last time with thank you so much. But when I talked last time with the ICPC finalist in the US, I was like, I'm semi-finalist, but I'm a finalist of NIRC ICPC, which is for North Eurasia, and they were like, oh wow, that's actually cool. And they were started talking with each other, discussing this and saying like, I found out that they were training on North Eurasian semifinals problems, because those problems were harder than even finals. That's what they said, at least. Yeah, and if you say like just semifinals, it's not that impressive. If you say semifinals, which was from North Eurasia, because this region is just known for having harder problems, bigger competition to get into finals, because the average teams which get there much stronger. So yeah, math-wise,
Well, for me, it sounds really impressive, because I was very bad at maths. So congratulations on that. Nazerke, I think it's very interesting to talk with you, and I think we could go on for hours, but I like to wrap it up with one last question. And if you allow me, some maybe very personal question, actually, because I saw in an interview back in the days that you described entrepreneurship as about being about loneliness. And I think that's like a very surprisingly honest thing to say publicly. And I would like to combine it with another question. So if you would now, for example, be the mentor of like a 20-year-old young lady from Kazakhstan, which kind of advice would you give to her when she's like interested in maybe even founding a startup or becoming an entrepreneur herself? So what would be your advice to her?
Well, first of all, I always advise to be a founder of startup only if there's nothing else in the world you can do. Because it's really hard. It's really hard. You don't have to do it because it's cool or like people are doing it. It's such a hard journey for anyone, regardless of market, age, or like. So, my advice is if you do it only because you really love it. You really see the value. You have this mission to help people to make this world better. Whatever, like I know that might sound cheesy, but that's the only thing which can keep you up when nothing works. Because as you mentioned, my interview when I said like it's about loneliness is I meant you feel it because every day you go to customers who say no to you. Every day you go to VCs who say no to you. Doesn't mean your product is not needed or bad or like it doesn't mean anything, but you still have to go through this to find out to find your customers, to find your investors, to find your way. So it might feel really hard, even though you logically you understand that it's not about you, it's not about the product, but mentally we're still human beings, so I still like feel pain from this oh no's, even though you understand this is nothing to do with you. So yeah, I think startups are dying not when for a lot of like reasons, but they die at the moment when the founder is saying, oh, I can't do this anymore. That's the moment when you're like, okay, the startup's not going to work. But otherwise, there are always the ways. It just depends on, are you ready to put all this time and energy you have in your life to make this product work? So if you're ready, if there's nothing else you can do in your life, then please do startups. But I admire founders. I think these are like the smartest, the most ambitious people with a mission. They have like this light in their eyes, which you see like among anyone else. So I really admire and talking with them for work. I think that's the best kind of job I have. So yeah, my advice is mostly just not to stop working if you decide to do your own startup.
Wow, that's really inspiring, Nazerke. That's really, really inspiring and amazing. Thank you very much. I think this is one of our most interesting episodes so far. Actually, this was really cool. Nazerke, we wish you a best of luck with all your ventures, and I'm pretty sure we will hear more about you in the future.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I missed some questions, but it was like so many thoughts when
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time and the questions and for having me.